Hello everyone, this is Professor Sean giving you information about your informative speech, one of the most major assignments in this class, and probably the one that you are freaking out about the most, seeing as how this particular speech, this particular assignment is due in a little over 3.5 weeks from now. So this quick hit is designed to just give you some basic information about the speech, to let you know what it entails, what you are required to have, and to give you a chance to look over it and then email me with any questions that you may have. And I think I'm going to upload that informative speech discussion board again, keep it active just in case people have questions. If you do have questions, I encourage you, you can email me, but I also encourage you to upload it to that discussion board, because if you have that question, chances are someone else in this class has the exact same question as well. So for your informative speech, keep in mind you're giving an informative speech over your chosen base company and how the culture of this company is in comparison and contrast to another business culture of the same industry that's in a country that's not similar to the United States. So when you ask yourself what countries are similar to the United States, that would be any country in the United Kingdom, so Great Britain, Canada, all of those are individualistic countries, things of that nature. If you're a little bit confused on this, just let me know, because unfortunately our textbook doesn't go further into depth on that as I would like it to. So if you're asking yourself, well, what's a country that's the complete opposite of the United States, then you have questions about that, don't be afraid to ask that question on the discussion board or email me. But generally, we could use context clues and common sense to ask ourselves what country is dissimilar to the United States, is not the same as the United States. This speech has to be given in order to pass this class. If you decide that you're too scared or you just don't want to give it for whatever reason, it's an automatic F in the course regardless of what your grade is and what your standing is at that moment. This speech is going to be 5 to 7 minutes in length, and I want you to keep in mind, if you go anywhere above or below that time period, points are going to be deducted. It's a strict time period, 5 to 7 minutes in length. And I've taken this information directly from the syllabus, so I have changed a few things. Something it says in the syllabus is that you're required to turn in an outline. That's not a requirement. It's just you have the ability to use the outline tool in Connect to help you craft and organize and have structure to your speech. So that is something that I want you to utilize. Keep in mind, this speech should not be an impromptu speech, should not be, as some of my students in my face-to-face say, ad lib. Keep in mind, ad lib is different from impromptu, but they're in the same family. Regardless, it should not be that, and I do want you to realize through my public speaking experience, it's pretty easy to see if that's what you're doing within the first 30 seconds of your speech or so. So use that outline tool in Connect to help craft and organize your speech, and that's going to add structure to your speech as well. You're required to orally cite at least 4 academic credible sources to support your claims about your base company and the company that's in comparison. Keep in mind you need to use 3 concepts from Chapter 2 of our text, and that chapter is dealing with culture in the business place, culture in the workplace. And we will have a required informative speech check-in that will be part of your grade for this speech that's coming up in the next few weeks. When it comes to this particular speech, they must be prepared and delivered with attention to public speaking. That's in the chapters 9 through 12 within our text. So 9, 10, 11, and 12 actually do a really good job of outlining public speaking and public presentations, especially in the business place or the workplace, for this particular assignment, for this particular speech. So you do have a ton of tools available to you when it comes to public speaking, no matter what your background is when it comes to public speaking, if you're a novice, if you're brand new, or if you've done speeches before. The organizational setup for this speech, I'm telling you this up front, so I'm actually helping you out. I'm doing some of your speech for you right now in this quick hit. The organizational setup is Easy. It's going to be chronological, spatial, or topical. Your book goes into several organizational patterns: chronological, spatial, topical. They do problem problem solution, cause effect, Monroe's motivated sequence, and there's one more that I'm missing right now. But I'm telling you right now, the informative organizational setups are chronological, spatial, topical. If you do anything other than that, then you're navigating into persuasive speech organizational setup, which is not what you should be doing. Most of you are probably going to use the topical pattern, which is fine. Topical pattern means your main ideas can be about anything, as long as they're all related in some way, shape, form, or fashion. If you have questions about that, just let me know. As far as main ideas or main points to your speech, your book mentions 5. Do not have 5. You're only going to have about 3. You could get away with 2. My concern is if you only have 2 main ideas, that the speech is going to lack in terms of analysis and depth. So that's why I want you to stick to 3. And all of your main ideas should be centered around your thesis statement and what the thesis statement actually is. I have given you a quick hit on introductions and conclusions. Make sure that you watch that if you have not watched it, or rewatch it, and it gives you a basic overview and a setup of how to start your speech and how to end your speech. And once again, here I am, your professor, providing you with information on your speech. I'm practically giving you your speech, at least 20 to 25%, just in this slide alone. So your introduction and conclusion, I'll be looking for your AGD. What is your attention-getting device? What is your thesis statement? And do you have that particular internal preview that leads us into your main ideas? And in the conclusion, I'll be looking, did you review what your main ideas are to start the conclusion? Did you give us a synopsis or even just repeat what your thesis statement was? And did you go back to the AGD that you used in the introduction? Keep in mind, but this is going to require a little bit of thinking. This is going to require you to put on your thinking cap and ask yourself, what's important here about my base company? And it's going to require critical thinking for you to figure out what is a company that is in the same industry in a culture or country that's completely opposite of the United States that I can find information for. And you have several weeks to figure that out. And then once again, if you have questions, please do not be afraid to ask. I'll be honest, where students tend to go wrong in this class, and even in my face-to-face classes when it comes to public speaking, they either get so scared, they're too prideful, or they think I'm going to think they're stupid for asking a questions. Y'all, I don't think any of that. I want you to make an A on this. And if you have questions, asking those questions to get my response or my advice is navigating your way to making a pretty decent grade on this particular speech. So once again, 5 to 7 minutes, points deducted for going over 5 minutes and going over 7 minutes and going under 5 minutes. The more you go over and the more you go under, the more that points are deducted. PowerPoint's required for this particular speech or Prezi, and some of you may be asking, well, how do we do a PowerPoint if this is an online class? And my response is there are millions of ways that you can do that. What most students have done in the past is they connect their their laptop to a flat screen TV that they have at their house, and they are able to project it on there, and I'm able to see that. You can't have a PowerPoint on your laptop and then record that and me not be able to see it or read it. I have to be able to see and read it. Another way people have done this, or students have done this in the past, is a bunch of them have gotten 4 or 5 or 6 people together from the online class, say, hey, this is a day we can meet up at the University Park Library. Every library on every campus, I should clarify that, main campus, I don't know about the centers, but every main campus has a library where you can check out PowerPoint tools and things to use and go into a room and record your speech. So I've had students do that in the past. A group of, was it last semester? It was the spring of last semester. A group of about 6 students all emailed each other throughout the class and said, hey, when can people meet so we can go up to the University Park Library? And not only that, that's where they got the PowerPoint tools and the projector screen to film their PowerPoint, but also if they got 5 and 6 people together, there's their audience right there. So it is possible to do this, and I will be uploading a quick hit on visual aids early next week, probably Monday, no later than Tuesday for sure. You need 4 orally cited sources, with at least 1 coming from an academic journal. I will also be uploading a quick hit on source citing early next week, no later than Tuesday as well. But you also need to review pages 304 and 305 in Chapter 10 when it comes to source citing. Academic search engines are journal articles that have been that have been peer reviewed by people with knowledge in the field, or by scholars in the academic field. JSTOR, and I misspelled JSTOR there, JSTOR, Academic Search Complete, Google Scholar, LexisNexis, and you have access to all of this through the library, through the LSC library homepage. All you need is your I put on here your student ID number. I don't think it's your student ID number. I think you need your LSC. I think there's a number on your student ID, not necessarily your student ID number, but there's a number on a student ID that you have to implement. So you need a student ID, and if you don't have a student ID, you need to go up to your nearest LSC campus or center and get you a student ID so that you're able to get on these websites via the LSC library homepage. It is expected that you have professional dress. I'm okay with business casual. Not only is professional dress something that's required or necessary for public speaking, but you have to keep in mind the context and the nature of this class. This is business and professional, right? So it's almost like it's built in, or it's just implied that you're going to dress professionally. And a minimum of 5 adult audience members must be visible. And I'm okay with accepting, and I think a few of your classmates have already emailed me to ask this, I'm okay with one of the audience member being the person that's recording. That's totally fine with me. If you have any questions, do not be afraid to email me. Once again, I will put that discussion board about the informative speech questions. I will permanently sticky that to the discussion board so that you guys can ask questions at your leisure. Remember, if you have a question, and some of you might email me and I'll go back and say, hey, can you ask that question on the discussion board so that the entire class can see it, because my response and your question is something that everyone needs to see. So once again, do not be afraid of asking questions. This is just an overview of the informative speech. As we go along, you'll start to see a little bit more quick hits and more information coming forward. So once again, if you have any questions about this major assignment, do not be afraid to ask.